Natural disasters are unavoidable consequences imposed on us by Mother Nature. Since the extinction of the dinosaurs 65 million years ago and the recent flooding due to the melting of the polar ice caps, natural disasters have haunted the Earth's surface and will continue for a very long time. Over the past 20 years, 600,000 people have died from the natural disasters and have left behind trillions of dollars worth of property damages. According to the UN, the 5 countries hit the hardest were the United States, China, India, Philippines, and Indonesia. Now, what are some common types of disasters and how should we prepare for them? Here are tips on what to do before, during, and after such dangerous events take place. The first is an earthquake.
Earthquake is a sudden and violent shaking of the ground, sometimes causing great destruction as a result of movement within Earth's crust or volcanic action. A total of 12,000 to 14,000 earthquakes happen each year, in the world's strongest earthquake in terms of magnitude occurring on May 22, 1960 near Villifria in southern Chile. It was assigned a great magnitude of 9.5. Wow! It is called the Great Chilean Earthquake or the 1960 Valdivia Earthquake.
Why do earthquakes happen? Earthquakes are usually caused when rock underground suddenly breaks along a fault. This sudden release of energy causes the seismic waves that make the ground shake. When 2 blocks of rock or 2 plates are rubbing against each other, they stick a little. They don't just slide smoothly. The rocks catch on each other. The rocks are still pushing against each other but not moving. After a while, the rocks break because of all the pressure that's built up. When the rocks break, the earthquake occurs. Did you know? No magnitude 10.0 has ever been recorded in history, and this is because no known fault has been found to be long enough to cause an earthquake of this magnitude. Scientists do say that if it were to occur, tsunamis would be happening while the earth was still shaking.
Typhoon.
Every year, the Philippines is hit by typhoons. No part of the country is spared. All provinces have been visited by typhoons at one time or another. In recent years, the Philippines have been overwhelmed by powerful tropical cyclones. A typhoon is generally believed to be a phonetic derivation from the Cantonese pronunciation for windy. A typhoon is a violent tropical cyclone in meteorological term, which is a low-pressure system occurring in tropical oceans. The winds above the ground circulate around the center counterclockwise for a typhoon occurring in the northern hemisphere and clockwise for that occurring in the southern hemisphere. Where do typhoons most frequently occur? Typhoons most frequently occur on the northern western Pacific Ocean off the east coast of Asia near Japan.
Did you know hurricanes are the same storm as typhoons, which is a different name? For stronger typhoons, a characteristic structure called the eye forms when the maximum wind speeds exceed about 85 miles per hour or 140 kilometers per hour. The eye is a region of clear air with no clouds, and it's a few tens of kilometers in diameter, and the wind from a typhoon can reach from about 75 to 150 miles per hour, and the super typhoon winds can reach up to about 150 miles per hour. How typhoons are formed? Typhoon starts as a tropical thunderstorms. The strong winds pull in moisture from the oceans. The thunderstorms convert the moisture into heat. The heat causes more air to flow to the center of storm, causing evaporation. All the heat and air flow towards the eye, creating the typhoon.
Fire.
Fire is the rapid oxidation of a material in the exothermic chemicals processes of combustion, releasing heat, like in various reaction products. The slower oxidative processes like rusting or digestion are not included by this definition. In the Philippines, a total of 2,818 fire incidents occurred in residential premises and 506 fire incidents in non-residential premises in 2016. And this was a decrease of 2.8% from 2015. It is one of the most potent disasters that man has encountered. Indeed, there is a saying in Filipino, mabuti lang manakawan, wag lang masunugan. Still, fire incidents are quite common in a country like the Philippines.
Did you know, in the Philippine history, there's a top 3 fire incidents killing more than hundreds of people. And these are, first, the Kentex factory in Venezuela went into flames, killing 74 people. And for the record, this has been declared the 3rd worst fire in the Philippines that happened May 13, 2015. Second, the Manor Hotel. Dubbed as the worst hotel fire in the Philippine history. The Manor Hotel fire incident placed second on the list, claiming 75 lives. The Manor Hotel fire incident happened last August 18, 2001, where 172 people checked in as participants of an evangelical convention sponsored by Don Clover Ministry from Texas, USA. And that makes the Manor Hotel top 2 of the worst fire incidents in the Philippines. And for the last one, Ozone Disco. Ozone Disco fire happened on March 18, 1996 that claimed 162 lives. Considered as the worst club fire incident in the Philippines and currently holds the 7th position on the world's list of worst club fires. Ozone Disco fire turned the night of revelry into tragedy. Even up to this day, Ozone Disco is still the worst fire incident in the Philippine history.
What are some tips to do before, after, and during an earthquake? Before. Tip number 1. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher, first aid kit, a battery-powered radio, a flashlight, and extra batteries at home. Tip number 2. Learn first aid. Tip number 3. Learn how to turn off the gas, water, and electricity. Tip number 4. Make up a plan of where to meet your family after an earthquake. Tip number 5. Don't leave heavy objects on shelves. Tip number 6. Learn the earthquake plan at your school or workplace. During. Stay calm. If you're indoors, stay inside. If you're outside, stay outside. Tip number 2. If you're indoors, stand against a wall near the center of the building, stand in a doorway, or crawl under heavy furniture. Stay away from windows and outside doors. Tip number 3. If you're outdoors, stay in the open away from power lines or anything that might fall. Stay away from buildings. Tip number 4. Don't use matches, candles, or any flame. Broken gas lines and fire don't mix. Tip number 5. If you're in a car, stop the car and stay inside the car until the earthquake stops. Tip number 6. Do not use elevators. After. Tip number 1. Check yourself and others for injuries. Provide first aid for anyone who needs it. Tip number 2. Check water, gas, and electric lines for damage. Tip number 3. Turn on the radio. Tip number 4. Stay out of damaged buildings. Tip number 5. Stay away from beaches. Tsunamis and sieges sometimes hit after the ground has stopped shaking. Tip number 6. Expect aftershocks.
Here are some tips to follow before, during, or after a typhoon. Before. Tip number 1. Always stay updated. Tip number 2. Check to see if there's a need to fix inside or outside your house, such as holes on roofs, damaged windows, doors, or ceiling, and also check the drainage system. Tip number 3. Store ample amount of ready-to-eat foods and water. Tip number 4. If you are advised to evacuate, do so. Tip number 5. Always have your emergency kits with you. Tip number 6. Learn first aid. During. Keep yourself calm and postpone any scheduled travels. Tip number 2. If no advice to evacuate was announced, then better stay inside your house. Tip number 3. Always stay updated and keep monitoring your TV and radio or internet. Tip number 4. Do not wade along flooded areas to keep yourself from contacting waterborne diseases. After. Always update yourself through radio, TV, or internet. Tip number 2. If your house did not have much damage, have your house inspected. Just be safe in inspecting your house and avoid scattered debris. Tip number 3. Watch out for live wires or any electrical outlet that may be submerged in water. Tip number 4. Wear protective gear like boots so that waterborne diseases such as leptospirosis do not spread out. Tip number 5. Boil water before drinking as they may be contaminated. Tip number 6. Dispose things that may be breeding grounds for mosquitoes.
In case of a fire, here are some helpful tips to practice. Before. Install smoke detectors and monitor them regularly. Develop an escape plan for different areas of your home and practice them regularly. Next, choose a safe meeting place outside your house and make sure that everyone knows where it is. Practice setting off the alarm at night where everyone is asleep, and also practice other methods of awakening your family members, especially children. Keep flashlights in each room and an escape ladder on upper levels. Know the simple fire regulations and remember to stop, drop and roll if your clothing catches fire. During a fire, get out quickly from your house. Do not try to save any objects no matter how valuable. Never use an elevator and always take the stairs. Do not open the door that feels hot. And remember to meet at your safe place. Lastly, call the fire department. Now, after a fire, here are some helpful tips that you should do. Check your family members for injuries. Do not return to the building until given the OK signal by the fire authorities. And lastly, contact your insurance agent to get an inventory of all the damaged items. Natural phenomena themselves cannot be avoided, but there are tons of ways to prevent the magnitude of the casualties caused by such events. By following these simple tips, anyone can save a life, or maybe two. Thank you for listening and stay safe, everyone.